I never considered myself a paranoid person. I locked my doors at night, checked the windows before bed, and kept a baseball bat within reach. Standard precautions, nothing extreme. But after my wife passed away, things changed. My world shrank to the walls of our home, and my son, Oliver, became my entire life. Routine was the only thing that kept me sane. Mornings were for feeding him, afternoons for naps and walks, evenings for stories. After he went down for the night, I'd sit in the living room, baby monitor on the coffee table, watching the green signal light flicker in the darkness. His slow, rhythmic breathing was a comfort, a reminder that I wasn't alone. Then, one night, the breathing wasn't his. I remember it clearly. The hum of the refrigerator, the faint creak of the house settling. I had just settled onto the couch with a beer, my eyes on the baby monitor's small screen. Oliver was sleeping, his tiny chest rising and falling in sync with the soft, staticky feedback. I exhaled, letting the tension of the day drain away. Then I heard it, a whisper. It was faint, barely audible beneath the static, but unmistakably human. At first, I thought it was a trick of my tired mind, maybe interference from a neighbor's device. I leaned in, turning up the volume slightly. A soft humming sound, a lullaby. My blood ran cold. I bolted upright, the beer slipping from my hand and hitting the floor with a dull thud. The baby monitor flickered, the screen grainy in the low light. Oliver stirred slightly, but didn't wake. The lullaby, if that's what it was, continued, the voice light, almost affectionate. I forced myself to breathe. Interference. That's all it was. Some other baby monitor crossing signals with mine. A weird coincidence. But then, right before the sound cut out, I heard something else. A whisper. A woman's voice. So close, it felt like she was speaking directly into my ear. Shh, he's already asleep. I was up the stairs before I even realized I was moving. Heart pounding, hands shaking. I threw open the nursery door, my breath coming in sharp bursts. Oliver lay in his crib, peaceful, untouched. The room was still, undisturbed, exactly how I had left it. The window was closed, the closet door slightly ajar, but that was normal. I stood there for a long moment, staring at my son, waiting for something, anything, to move. But nothing did. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was just stress, exhaustion. That's what I told myself as I backed out of the room, leaving the door cracked just enough to hear if he stirred. Downstairs, I turned off the baby monitor. I told myself I wouldn't turn it back on. I was wrong. I didn't sleep that night, even after convincing myself that it was just interference. Some random frequency crossing over. It didn't sit right. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening. Every creak in the house sent a jolt through my nerves. I kept imagining that whisper, the lullaby, the way the voice had been so close. By morning, I was exhausted, but determined to put it behind me. I went about my usual routine, changed Oliver, fed him, took him for a walk. Normal things, grounding things. But there was something about the house now, something I hadn't noticed before. The air felt heavier, like someone else was breathing in it with me. That night, I hesitated before turning the baby monitor back on. My finger hovered over the power button, heart hammering, but I forced myself to do it. It was just a fluke. I needed to prove that to myself. For hours, nothing happened. I stayed downstairs, pretending to read, but really just staring at the screen. Oliver slept peacefully. The house was quiet. No whispers, no voices, just the usual low hum of white noise. Then, at exactly 2:37 a.m., the screen flickered. The static deepened, thickened, like something moving through it. I leaned forward, gripping the armrest of the couch. My stomach clenched. A shape moved in the grainy black and white feed. At first, I thought Oliver had shifted in his sleep, but the longer I watched, the more I realized it wasn't him. It was beside him, a figure, tall, thin, standing near the crib, barely visible in the distortion. My throat went dry. Then slowly, so painfully slow, the figure leaned down. I was moving before I even registered it. My feet barely touched the stairs. My breath came in gasps as I slammed the nursery door open, my pulse roaring in my ears. The room was empty. Oliver lay exactly where he had been, undisturbed. The closet door was open a fraction wider than before. The air was cold. I turned toward the baby monitor on the nightstand. The screen still glowed faintly, the static still humming. I picked it up with trembling fingers, my pulse racing. The figure was gone, but just as I was about to turn it off, I heard it again. A whisper, a voice not my own. Not yet. My skin prickled. The whisper hadn't come from the monitor, it had come from inside the room. I didn't move. I couldn't. The whisper still echoed in my ears, soft but deliberate. My pulse pounded so loudly I could hear it in my skull. I forced myself to scan the room. Oliver still slept soundly, his tiny fingers curled into fists. The closet door was open just an inch wider than before. And then I saw it. The window. I was sure, absolutely sure, I had locked it. I checked it every night. But now, it stood slightly ajar, the curtain shifting in the breeze. My stomach twisted. Someone had been here. Every rational part of me screamed for an explanation. Maybe I forgot to lock it. Maybe I left it open. Maybe... But then, why had I heard the whisper inside the room? I took slow, cautious steps toward the window, barely breathing. The night outside was still dark. No movement in the yard, no footprints in the frost-covered grass below. My own face stared back at me in the glass, pale, hollow-eyed, terrified. I reached for the latch to lock it. A reflection moved behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly fell. The room was empty, still, silent. But the closet door, it was open now, completely open. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. My fingers trembled as I reached for the light switch. The overhead bulb flickered once before steadying, spilling yellow light into the dark corners of the room. The closet was empty, and yet the air felt different, charged, heavy, like something had just been there, watching. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. Enough. I locked the window, I shut the closet door, I picked up Oliver, his warmth against my chest, the only thing anchoring me to reality, and carried him into my room. That night, I didn't sleep. The baby monitor sat on my nightstand, silent, its screen dark. I had turned it off, but at 3:12 a.m., a sound broke through the silence. A whisper, not from the monitor, from right beside the bed. "He's mine." I lunged for the lamp, fumbling in the dark. The light flooded the room, but there was nothing there. Just the quiet hum of the house, the soft weight of Oliver breathing against me. But the window I had locked, was open again. I didn't stay after that. I packed a bag, grabbed Oliver, and left before the sun rose. We stayed with my sister for a while. I never told her what happened. I barely understand it myself.